summation of x squared, we are going to add everything. Okay. So right after getting the summation of x and the summation of x squared, then we can use that data in solving for the variance of the population using the formula given. Okay. Since the summation of x squared is equal to 120, so we are just going to substitute that one, and then minus the summation of x, we have 20, and then we are going to square that one over n, which is the number of observation or scores, which is 4 divided by 4. So we have 120 minus 20 squared. We have what is 20 squared? 20 squared is equal to
400.
400 divided by 4, that is 100. 120 minus what do you call this? 100, that is 20 divided by 4, manang naatay 5. So that is our variance of the population. Okay, so that is just an example. Later on, we'll have another examples. Okay, in solving for the population of the variance. Okay, or variance population. Okay, so next one we have here. So it can be computed using this formula. Okay, so all right. Wait. So in the population variance, so we use this formula, and in the variance of a sampling distribution, we can use also the same formula, but it will just differ. Okay, sa katong first one nga gi-introduce siya, the same ra siya actually. We can solve for the variance of a population and variance of a sampling distribution using the same formula. And the variance of a sampling distribution of a sample mean is also equal to the quotient of the population variance and the sample size. So that's why we have, okay, variance of the population of the sampling distribution is equal to the variance or population variance over n, small letter n, it represents the sample size. Okay. All right. So we can use that one. All right. So a set of scores has a population variance of 5. What is the variance of a sampling distribution if the sample size is 2? Okay. So since the population variance is given and the sample size is given, we can directly get the variance of the sampling distribution of the sample mean, which is equal to 2.5. Sige. So later, we'll have an example. Okay. All right. So karon na di ay. So a population consists of 5 values. Again, let's have this. 5 values, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Compute for the variance of a sampling distribution of the sample mean if the sample size or if the sample of size 2 is to be taken from the population. Okay, so all right. Okay, so let's have this. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is construct a table. Okay, so we are first going to construct a table. So on the first column, we have the observation. It represents the x. And on the second one, it's the x squared. Okay, so the same thing, diba? Na siya'y pila? 5 observations. So it represents the x, and then we are just going to square that one. So 2 times, 2 squared, that is 4. 3 squared, that is 9. 4 squared, that is 16. 5 squared, that is 25. And 6 squared, that is 36. So we are for us to get the summation of x, we're just going to add all of the observation given. The same also with the x squared. We're going to get, or we're going to add everything. So the summation of x is equal to 20 and the summation of x squared is equal to 90. Okay, so right after computing or constructing this table, then we can now solve for the variance of the population or population variance. Okay, so we can solve that one applying the formula given. Okay, so we have the population variance is equal to the summation of x squared. Ang summation of x squared, that is 90, minus the summation of x, 20 squared over 5, okay, divided by 5. So the result or the population variance is equal to 2. Okay. So 20 squared, the same hapon kanina, no? It is somewhat similar to the given example a while ago. 20 squared, that is 400 divided by 5. That is pila? 400 divided by 5, that is
80.
80. 90 minus 80, that
Variance
is
over 5.
10 divided by
2.
5, 2. Okay, so the population variance is equal to 2. So, sige, I'll ask you, right after solving for the population variance, what's next? We're going to solve for the, ano sa tong isunod? Nga isolve after computing for the population variance. Kung naman sa population, so, unsa naman dayon? We're going to solve for the variance of the, unsa na dayon sunod?
Sample
Sampling.
distribution.
Okay.
Sample.
Distribution of the sample mean. Okay. Using the formula. Okay. Given formula gihapon, which is the variance of the sampling distribution of the sample mean is equal to the population variance over the sample size. So we in the previous slide, ang resolve is for the population variance, which is equal to 2, and then ang given nga sample size is 2 also. That's why our variance of the sampling distribution of the sample mean is equal to 1. Ma'am, asa tagikan anang 1 as n is equal to 1, ma'am. So given in our problem, okay, balik na sa problem, unsa giingon dira, the sample mean if the sample of size 2 is to be taken from the population. So we got the sample size, or n, small letter n, which is equal to 2 in our problem, or in the given problem. Okay. So, all right. Okay. So, let's. I question first in the first example before we proceed to the second one.
Sa denominator man ng n na sample, kuan man no?
Ang kanang sa denominator nga n, nga small letter n, yeah, it represents the sample size, and katong big letter n, it represents the number of the population, kung pila ka buok ang population given.
Okay,
Motong,
ma'am.
okay. So there are no other clarification. Nasabtan na ba? Naka-follow ba? Hello, naka-follow ba?
Yes, ma'am. Nasabtan, ma'am.
Nasabtan. Okay. Sige, nasabtan ra ba, Mary? Okay.
Gamay, ma'am.
Gamay, gamay. Okay. At least nasabtan gamay. Sige, let's have another example. Okay, an example for this one. Okay, from the given example, or from the given in example number 1, we are asked to construct the sampling distribution of the samples of size 2 and compute for the variance of a sampling distribution. Okay, are you still familiar, or do you still remember how to construct a sampling distribution? Everyone? Nakadumdum pa mo, boss, atong previous discussion, how to construct sampling distribution?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, of course, we are going to construct a table. Okay. So, gikan sa given kay in this example number 2, we are asked for to use the same data, okay, in our example number 1. So, and then the sample size is equal to 2. So, therefore, we have this corresponding, or the possible sample or samples of size 2. So, we have 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 5, 2, 6, 3, 4, 3, 5, 3, 6, 5, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6. Okay. And right after listing down the possible sample of size 2, then we are going to get the mean. Okay, so naka-familiar pa ba mo, or do you still remember how to get the mean? So, di ba? In the given sample, we have 2 and 3, for example. So 2 plus 3, that is 5, divided by 2, that is 2.5, so on and so forth, with all the kind of the rest of the given samples. Okay, that is how you are going to get the mean. So after getting the mean, since this is the instruction in this problem, you're asked to construct for the sampling distribution, then we already constructed this one. After, we are going to, this is the some possible samples of size 2. Next is we are going to construct the sampling distribution of the sample mean. So given kining mga mean, di ba na ay parts or na ay mga mean nga repeated, so we don't need to repeat that one. So isa lang siya like this one. So we have 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, and 5.5. Okay. Right after, okay, right after this one, we are going to so mean, and we are going to get the probability. So we have the P of X bar. Ang kanang denominator or the denominator for the, what do you call this? Denominator is the number of possible samples. Di ba sa atong possible samples na ay 10. I mean, in constructing the list, so there are 10 possible samples with a size of 2. That's why we have 2.5 appears or occurs only once. So we have 1 over 10. The same with the 3 appears only once. 3.5 and 4.5 appears twice. That's why it is 2 over 10. Also for the 4.5, 2 over 10. And 5 and 5.5 appears only once. So the moment that we are going to add or we're going to get the summation of the probability of X bar or the mean, we are going to get the total of 1. Okay. So right after constructing this one class, unsay sunod nato nga buhaton? Nakuha na ba nato ang what do you call this? Nakuha na ba nato ang kinahanglan so that we can solve for the population variance? Yes or no? Okay. Salamat sa
Yes.
pagtuwa. Yes. Nakuha na ba nato? Di ba the formula in solving for the population variance unsa galit to? Tindog daw ko ba murag. Okay, unsa tong formula in solving for the population variance? We have the population variance is equal to, sige, unsa to? The summation of x squared minus, sa to siya? The summation of x, okay, wag mo nag-follow guro sa ako aba. Summation of x over n
Divided by n.
divided by n. So, as you've noticed, nakuha na ba nato ang summation of x squared? Wala pa no?
Wala pa, ma'am.
Wala pa. So, we are going to construct again another um, table. Okay. So, look at the screen. So, we are going to get the mean and or which represents x and then x squared. So of course we have 2, 4, 6, 7. Okay, mean, and then we are going to raise that one to the power of 2. So 2.5 squared, that is 6.25. 3 squared, that is 9. 3.5 squared, that is 12.25. 4 squared, that is 16. 4.5, that is 20.25. 5 squared, that is 25, and 5.5, that is 30.25. So we are going to get the summation of x or the summation of mean. So when we are going to total or add everything, we are going to have the result which is equal to 28. And then on the other hand, on the second column, we will have the summation of x squared, that is 119. So we already got the data that we need to use in solving for the population variance. Okay. So in solving for the population variance, um, the summation of x squared, we have pila 119. 119 minus the summation of x, we have 28. 28 squared divided by pila. What is our n here?
5.
Pila ka bukang mean?
Ay, 10, ay, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. 8, ma'am.
Pila man gid Christian. Hapon na to be? 2, 4, 6, 7 the
7 pa.
Christian. Oo,
Sorry.
7 lang. Okay, so we have 7 over 7. Okay, so pila man ni siya class? 119 minus 28 squared pila? Okay, all of you solve.
784, ma'am.
Divided by 7.
112.
112 over 7. So, sakto ba? That is, alright, wait. Okay, so let me, I stand corrected. Where is my eraser? Class, I'd like to clarify, not the population variance, ha? The population of the sampling distribution of the sample mean. Okay? So it should be, kaya the same raman gihapon sila og formula. The population, wait lang. The population, the variance of x squared. Okay. All right. So, pangitan okay. So this one stands for the variance of a sampling distribution of the sample mean, not the population. Kaya kung kini lang siya, ana lang, so this is the population variance. Okay? This one, the variance of a sampling distribution of the sample mean. Okay, so we have 1. Okay, so therefore the sampling distribution of this one is equal to 1. All right. Question first. Do you have question regarding this one?
Pwede ipataas palihog ang cam, ma'am.
Sorry. Wait lang. Okay. You don't have any other question regarding this one?
No, ma'am.
Nasabtan? Nasabtan rabat?
Yes, ma'am.
Sige, asa dapat nga
Yes,
parts na
ma'am.
confusing? Walay confusing nga part?
Wala, ma'am.
Hipos ano eh. Wala na ipangutana. Oh, sige. Sige, let's... Okay. So since you don't have any other question regarding this one, so I'll send this one to you, this individual practice later, and then you are going to answer that one. Okay? So the following table gives the monthly sales in millions of the big franchising companies. Suppose that random sample of size 4 are taken from this population of 6 franchising companies. Compute for the population variance. So I'd like to clarify, you're going to use the data in the sales. Okay, basin i-clarify mi gid sa batch 1 ganina. Unsa man mo ng XYZSTU, ma'am. So those are just, or it just represents the name tara of the company. Okay, dili na mo ang inyong square ha kanang sales. Okay, so no other question.
No, ma'am.
Okay, pwede ta maka-proceed sa ato ang next, wait, next na to nga topic. Okay, ay shucks, window, ay, okay. All right. So we have okay. All right. So we have here the standard error of the sample mean. So let's go directly. Okay, let's identify or define first what is standard error. Okay, so the standard deviation. Okay, so as you've noticed in our previous discussion or the previous one, it is all about the variance. That's why naa siya the variance ang iyaha, it represents na siya squared. So and we all know in the standard deviation, di ba wala siya squared. All right, only this one. So we're going to talk about that now. So what is standard error of the mean? So it represents as, okay, so the standard deviation of the sampling distribution of a statistic, and it measures how far the sample mean of the data is from the true population, okay, or the true population mean. Okay, so we have here the formula to be used. So the population, I mean the standard deviation over the square root of n. Okay, and here it represents the sample size gihapon. Okay, so let's have this. A population has a mean and the standard deviation of 25 and 2.5. Okay, respectively. What is the standard error of the mean of a sampling distribution in a sample size of 3? Since class in the problem or in the example, the standard deviation and the sample size is already given, then we can use this formula. So that is 2.5, I mean 2.75 divided by the square root of 3. Bilang square root of 3? Ang phone. Ilang square root of 3? That is 1.73 something. Okay? So, and then 2.75 divided by 1.7. Okay, so it will result to 1.5895 and so on and so forth. So, we're going to round it up. So, it will become 1.59. So, that will be the standard error of the mean, which is equal to 1.59. Okay. So, next we'll have another example. Okay, so this one, the variance of a sampling distribution of the sample mean is 25. Okay, what is the standard error of the sampling distribution of the sample mean? Okay, all right. So in this problem class, the standard error of the mean is also the standard deviation of the sampling distribution. Okay, for us to obtain the standard error of the mean, we can get the square or the square root of the variance of a sampling distribution of the mean. Okay, so makuha natin siya by, ano man ang given dere? Only the variance of a sampling distribution. And then we are asked for the standard error of the sampling distribution of the sample mean. So we can get now the standard error by getting the square root of the variance of a sampling distribution. So since ang given nga variance is equal to 25, that is the variance of a sampling distribution, 25, for us to get the standard error of the sampling distribution of the sample mean, we can square that one. So what is the square root of 25?
5.
8.
5.
Okay, so that is the standard error of a sampling distribution of the sample mean. If and only if ing ani or the same ang problem nga gihatag like this one. Okay. So, all right, let's have this together. We're going to solve this one together. Ha? Okay, so the population of the possible satisfaction rating of call center agents consists of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If a sampling distribution composed of a sample of size 2 is drawn from the population, what is the sampling standard error of the mean? Okay, so I want you to get your notebook, okay, and let's solve this one, or you can do this in any paper that is available. So the first thing atong buhatan on man class, what is the first thing that we're going to do? Everybody, unsa atong sige, unsay atong buhaton? We are going to construct first, okay? Since naay given, no, nga satisfaction rating, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, we're going to use that one. Okay, ato na siyang gamiton. And then, Okay, so I'll show na lang to you the table. Okay, so we can get that one, or we can solve that one first by constructing a table of, on the first column we have the observations, the second column we have the um, observation to raised to the power of 2, or x squared. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 2 squared, that is 4, 3 squared, that is 9, 4 squared, that is 16, 5 squared, that is 25. And then, so we have the summation of x and the summation of x squared. All right. So we can use this one right away in solving for the um, population variance. Okay. So atong population variance is equal to 2. All right. So na-answer na ba ang pangutana? Ang sige itong giyon sa problem. What is the sampling standard error of the mean? Okay. So for us to compute the, what do you call this? Compute the variance of a sampling distribution. Unsa man nato? Sa atong buhaton. Unsa nga formula atong gamiton? Katong first one or katong second one? Ang given diriha is the population variance and the sample size. So,
First one. Una,
we
ma'am.
can use unsa adto? Kadtong
Una.
Sa ang iyang denominator ng square root.
ay unsa let to siya, wait. Okay, so we can solve for the using this one over n. Okay. So for us to compute the variance of a sampling distribution of the sample mean, we'll use this formula since ang given nato is ang population variance and the sample size. Okay. So we have the variance is equal to pila to? 2, and then ang sample size niya is 2. So naatay um, variance of a sampling distribution of the sample mean, which is equal to 1. Okay. So after that, after doing that one, ang say last dato or last step nga tong buhaton. We are going to compute for the last one nato i-compute, or what is being asked in the problem? The
Population variance.
we already solved for the population variance na sa atong screen, which is the population variance is equal to 2. And then we already solved for the variance of a sampling distribution of the mean, which is 1. Next na nga isolve on is the last one, which is the, ang sa gilit to?
Error, ma'am.
Error. Oo, ang error. Okay. So, di ba nato iduha siya ka formula sa solving for the standard error? Asa man itong gamitan adto? Na-mention ako earlier that we can get the standard error of the standard or the sampling distribution of the sample mean by, so let to siya, na naman taan nino?
Square root.
Oh, we are just going to square it. So basically, what will happen here is we are going to square that one. Since it is 1 naman siya, di ba? So we have x squared is equal to 1. So para makuha na to ang ihang standard standard error square. Oh. So basically na ang square root ani is wala na yung squared, mabilin. Anak na lang. Square root of 1 bila
1.
1 ra gihapon. So we already got the standard or the error. Okay? So that is how we are going to get the standard error of the mean. That is equal to 1. First step, atong buhaton, construct a table, and then identify the observations which represents x, and then next step atong buhaton is square that one, so x squared, and then get the summation of both the observation or both the x and the x squared, and then solve dayon for the population variance. Right after solving for the population variance, solve for the variance of a sampling distribution of the sample mean, and then the last part is that we are going to solve for the standard error. Okay. Pangutana. Question.
No, ma'am. None.
Nasabtan ninyo, class? Ini daw ko, class.
Yes, ma'am.
Nasabtan ba? Ah, nasabtan na di ay. Okay. So, well, we have another example. Wait. Okay, wala na. All right. So, okay. Did I mention it a while ago that you are going to solve for the individual practice katong previous topic, katong sa variance? Ginanta man, no? Nag-announce ba ko?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So also for the standard error, you are going to solve for this one. Okay, so there will be two activities or output that you're going to submit this afternoon. Okay, since you still have time, okay, so I'll let you use the remaining time to solve for the activities this afternoon. So let's have first the other one. Okay, wait lang. Wait lang, class ha. I'll show to you the first one. Yan yung buhaton. Okay. You get your notebook and then you answer this one first.
Karon, ma'am.
Yes, Dui. Oo, karon. You answer that one now. So that later you're just going to submit this. Okay, I'll